Hello everyone, welcome to the daily editorial analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 13th December 2024. Displayed here are the list of articles that we'll be discussing today. The first article, the missing spotlight on urban local government boards. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about the delayed elections in more than 60% of urban local bodies across the nation. And this statistics was given by the CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So in this article we will be seeing what are the features of urban local bodies and what is its role in ensuring grassroots democracy and participation of people, and what are the key features of the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, and what are the challenges faced by the local self-government. And we will also give certain recommendations to improve the governance of the local self-government. And the next article, healthcare more responsive. The article is taken from the newspaper The Indian Express. In this article, we will be discussing universal health coverage. What is universal health coverage? What is its objective? What are the challenges? And then we will also discuss certain recommendations to implement the universal health coverage in India. So without much delay, let's get into the discussion with the first article. We know that India is a salad bowl known for our diversity. Even if you take a small piece of land, you can see different type of aspirations, different type of culture, different type of languages, especially if you go to the central Indian states, for example, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand. Even if you take 2-3 villages, you will be hearing at least 3 languages. So India is that much diverse. Therefore, to ensure harmony and to ensure the welfare and to ensure a just society, we need representation to the grassroots level. If you take the history of India, we can see a long history of development of local self-governance. If you take the Mauryan Empire, for example, they had a village administration separately where the central administration's influence was much less, and the village head was known as Gramika. And the Mauryans also had a separate board of 30 members to deal with the municipal administration, and that board was divided into 6 different committees with 6 important functions. And coming to the early medieval India, the Cholas local self-government is it is worldwide popular for its important features. And coming to the modern India, where the Europeans played an important role in giving a modern structure to the Indian administration. For example, the British, they purchased Madras in the year 1640. And after 48 years, that is in 1688, they established the first municipal corporation in India, that is in Madras. And in the year 1726, they established 2 municipal corporations, one in Calcutta and another in Bombay. And in the 19th century, especially in the 1860s, through the Mayo's resolution, financial decentralization was introduced in India. And in the 1880s, Lord Ripon's resolution is known as the Magna Carta of India's local self-government, and that's why he is considered as the father of Indian local self-government. And even after the independence, to give a better representation to the grassroots level, to ensure democracy at the grassroots level, the various governments took various important measures. For example, in the year 1989, then Rajiv Gandhi government, through the 65th Amendment of the Constitution, tried to implement the Nagarapalika bill. But unfortunately, it did not get majority in Rajya Sabha. And in the very next year, that is in the year 1990, then VP Singh government also attempted the same bill. Due to the dissolution of the Lok Sabha, the bill got lapsed. And in the year 1992, PV Narasimha Rao government once again attempted to bring the bill, and this time it was successful. And that's what we are calling now 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which is present in the 12th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And they gave 2 important articles, that is the Article 9 and Article 9A. Article 9 talks about the village administration, while the Article 74th Amendment, that is Article 9A, talks about the urban administration, urban local governance. And the bill came to force in the year 1993, June 1st. So this is a short history of local self-government in India. Moving on, in this context, we have a news article from today's Hindu newspaper, which is talking about a problem that we are facing in urban local bodies, that is the delayed election. According to the study of the CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General of India, it is a constitutional authority mentioned in the Article 148 of the Indian Constitution. According to CAG study, they found that nearly 60% of urban local governments are facing the problem of delayed election. And it can not only hamper the administration, it can even hamper the democratic participation in the nation. So in this background, let us discuss more about the features of the urban local government, the important aspects of the 74th constitutional amendment, and what are the challenges, and how this one nation one election, that is recently the central government gave approval to the one nation one election scheme, and how this is going to transform the elections to the three-tier government, that is in the center, state, and in the local self-government. First, we'll start with the type of urban local bodies. So these are the three important urban local bodies. First one is municipal corporation. It is meant for the administration of large cities, while then we have the nagar panchayat, which is meant for smaller towns and transitioning areas. For example, if a region is going from rural to urban area, then that administration will be handled by that area's administration will be handled by nagar panchayat. And then we have the municipality, which is meant for medium towns and important cities. Apart from these three, we have other three types of important urban local bodies. For example, we have the notified area committee. This is meant for the region which is experiencing development or urbanization due to rapid industrialization. Then we have a cantonment board. This cantonment board is meant for the civic administration of cantonment areas. For example, we have a Barak cantonment, we have Bangalore cantonment. So these kind of areas will be administered by the cantonment board, and this cantonment board is established under the Cantonment Board Act of 2006. And apart from this, we also have a separate urban local bodies for port cities, and then we have a local urban bodies for townships. So this township urban local bodies are meant to administer, the townships which are developed due to large public enterprises. For example, BAIL, Bharat Heavy Electricals, like that, or National Thermal Power Plant, like that. So to such publicly owned industrial areas, civic administration will be handled by this township. So these are the important urban local bodies that we have in India. And coming to the features of the urban local body, it is a part of three-tier system of government. What is mean by the three-tier system of government? First in the center, and then we will be having another government in the state level, and then we will be having another government in the local level, that is known as the three-tier system of government. So this is indicating a democratic decentralization of authority in a nation. And then the next important feature of the local urban bodies is it promotes the grassroots democracy or democratic decentralization. For example, if you take a local urban body, it will be a local urban body will be divided into different wards. Okay, and in different ward we will be having a ward member, and this ward member will be representing the interest and aspirations of the village, the people of that ward. And how this this ward work, in every week or in at least twice in a month, the people will gather, they will meet, and they will discuss the basic needs that they need in, or the problems they are facing in that area. So such things will be addressed by this member to the authorities. So that is how the the ward system is working. And then we have elected representatives. For example, in the case of large municipal corporations, we have councillors and mayors. And the tenure of urban local body or the local self-government is meant for 5 years. But imagine that if any local body got dissolved before this 5 years, and a new election, a fresh election will be conducted within 6 months. But here comes a difference. Imagine that a urban local body got dissolved in the second year. So within next 6 months, a new election will be held, and a new assembly will be, or the new local body will be formed, and the tenure for this newly elected local body will be just 3 years. That means they will not get the next 5 years. And the next feature of the urban local body is it ensures the basic amenities for a good life. For example, providing basic facilities like water connection, electricity, sanitation, and we have corporation schools and corporation colleges, and that is education and health. Even during the time of COVID-19, you witnessed that the people from corporation will be checking your pulse, will be checking your oxygen level every day. They will come to your home and they will talk about the importance of taking precautions while we were under the pandemic, and they will also give certain suggestions for better health. So that is how the urban local bodies or the local governments are playing important role in ensuring health. And education, we have corporation school. And planning, they will give, for example, according to the 74th Amendment Act, we have something called the District Planning Committee, and this District Planning Committee is responsible for, consolidating the development plans of municipalities and panchayat. What are the importance? Coming to the next, what are the importance of the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act? First one is, it granted a constitutional status to the urban local bodies, which means they will be having the same importance like the state government and the central government, and that means it cannot be removed. The power of the local urban bodies or the local self governments cannot be removed easily, and it is permanent. For example, if a state brings, if some state brings a big mega development project, then that also needs permit from, the panchayat. So our local self government is that much powerful in ensuring the welfare of a particular region. And then devolution of powers, responsibilities, and finance. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, you can see that they plays an important role in ensuring, basic facilities of a particular region. And then finances, the urban local bodies, they will be collecting tax, and using the tax they will be constructing basic infrastructure facilities and other needs. So these are the important roles of urban local bodies under the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Next is the creation of the, state election commissions. So remember, the National Election Commission is responsible for conducting elections in the state level and the national level, while the State Election Commission is responsible for conducting elections to the, the local self government. Don't think that the state election commissions are responsible for conducting elections to the state level. They are not. For both the center and state, the National Election Commission is responsible for conducting election. And then ward committees for local participation. So just like I mentioned, for every ward there will be a ward member, and the people, they can address their problem through this ward member. So this ward member will take this problem to the authorities and they will bring solutions. So that is how the ward system is working. So what is mean by this ward committee? Ward committee means it is a committee that consists of 2 or more wards if the population is above 3 lakh. And next is, responsibility for urban planning. Like I said, if you want to construct a building, or if you want to turn a residential building into a commercial purpose, or if you want to start a new business in the urban area, then also you need permit from the local urban authorities. Without that you cannot do anything in that area. Same like in the case of panchayat. And then increase the accountability. So imagine that you are living in a nation where there is no local body authorities, and you are facing certain basic problems like lack of drinking water, or you are facing some other issues like lack of electricity, like that. So whom will you ask, or where will you approach? If you're, for example, if you're facing a water problem in your area, can you approach the state water authority directly? You can approach, but it will be time taking process. At the same time, it is expensive. Can you approach the Ministry of Jal Shakti? That is not at all possible for a common man. So what happens is, if we have a local self government, so the ward member or the panchayat member, or the, or the panchayat president will be living next to your neighborhood, or he will be living next to your house. So you can approach him directly and you can raise your issue. So he will be taking that issue to the authorities. So you will be getting a rapid remedy for your problem. So this local self government, or the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, ensures increased accountability to the public and to the people. Coming to the next, to the challenges faced by the urban local bodies. First one is financial constraints. Even though the urban local bodies are getting profit from their establishments, they have the right to collect a tax, but still they are depending on state for majority of the fund. And the next, the state government control. As like I said, the state government is responsible for various, matters in the urban local bodies. For example, if the state finds that it is necessary to, it is necessary to give, an MLA or MP as a representative to the local urban bodies, they can do. And at the same time, the state is responsible for appointing a state finance commission in every 5th year to assess the financial stability, or the, the finance of the local self governments. So in this area, if the state is not acting properly, then it is automatically weakening or making the local urban bodies or the local self governments, inefficient, At the same time, certain times if the state is not giving enough consideration or enough focus to the local self governments, then also it will affect the efficiency of the service. And if the state is interfering politically more into the local urban bodies or the local self governments, then also it is weakening the autonomy of the local self governments. And the autonomy of the local self government is very important to ensure the democracy. If you take the history, for example, like I mentioned in the very beginning, the Mauryans, they also had a local government, and the Mauryan administration, the central administration, stayed away from this, almost stayed away from this local administration. So like that, if you take the case of the Cholas, there also you can see the Cholas central authority stayed away from the local self government. So in this way, the autonomy of the local self government will be violated if the state government interferes in the affairs of the local body, after a particular limit. And then we have the poor governance or accountability. That is, poor government means lack of change according to the time. For example, if you are still depending on papers to move your daily officials work, then it will delay or it will reduce the efficiency of the service. And accountability, like I mentioned in the beginning, even if you have a representative near to your home, he may not be accountable due to certain other issues, such as differences in the name of political ideology, or due to different political parties, like that. This can also affect the quality of service. And then the important problem, that is delayed election. Like I mentioned in the when we started the discussion, nearly 60% of the urban local bodies are facing the problem of delayed election. That means election is not conducted on time. And then disempowered state election commissions. This also delays the election, reduces the efficiency of the local self-government, and leads to lack of transparency. And urbanization pressures. For example, we are living in a society where we are expecting at least 50% of people living in urban areas by 2050. So the urbanization is accelerated these days, and therefore the demand will be different, and it will be changing rapidly. So therefore this is another challenge faced by the local urban bodies. And then we have the delayed implementation of schemes. This will prevent effective governance from the urban local bodies. Coming to the impact of the one nation, one election on urban local bodies, it has one potential benefit. At the same time, it also has a challenge. For example, if you can conduct an election in one go for both center, state, and the local bodies, then we can resolve the problem of the delay of election. And at the same time, it will also reduce the cost, it will also reduce the time, and it will also ensure the participation of people, because the present problem is more than 60% of the urban bodies are not having election, or they are having delayed election. So this is affecting the local democracy. So this kind of issues can be solved once we have the one nation, one election project. But at the same time, it also has another challenge, that is, according to the constitution provision, the local bodies are coming under the state subject. So this can create confusion. And then we also have certain practical issues related to the delimitation of ward, and at the same time, and different terms of different urban local bodies will also create confusions. So these are the major challenges that we are having related to the one nation, one election, in resolving the problem of delayed local body elections. So once again, I repeat, what are the potential benefit? The benefit is, if we can conduct the election in one go for both the center, state, and the local bodies, then it will save the resource, it will reduce the time, it will reduce the cost, and it will strengthen the local democracy. But on the other side, the challenges are the constitutional provision. The local bodies are coming under the state subject. At the same time, we also have certain practical issues associated with the delimitation of ward and the different terms of local urban bodies. For example, if there is a local urban body in Chennai, then the term of the local urban body in Chennai will be from 2019 to 24. So like that, if you take the corporation of Mumbai, then its term will be from 2021 to 26. So this type of varying terms will also create problems, confusions regarding the implementation of the one nation, one election. Moving forward, what are the suggestions that we can give to address the challenges faced by the local urban bodies? First is the timely election. That means strict enforcement. That means we have to ensure that in every 5th year the elections to the elections to the local bodies are conducted by the state governments, and then empowering the independent state election commissions to conduct a free and fair election. And the next is, like I mentioned, strengthening state election commissions through providing financial and legal autonomy and protecting them from political influence. And financial empowerment, we have to go for greater devolution of funds from the state to the center, and we have to ensure that the recommendations of the state finance commission appointed in every 5th year is properly accepted, and the recommendations are implemented or considered. And then capacity building, that means training officials and counselors for better planning, and better governance. Especially, we have to change the governance according to the time. We have to go for more digitalization, for speedy, for rapid, and quality distribution of services. So these are the important suggestions that we can give while writing a mains answer. So with this, we are coming to the conclusion for this topic, and now it's time to move to the next topic. Healthcare more responsive. Health is wealth. We are hearing this quotation for a very long time. You can ensure that you are eating 2500 calories per day. You are taking 100 gram of protein per day. But the question is it enough to have a healthy life? The answer will be no. We need many other factors to ensure that we are staying healthy, not only for today, but for tomorrow too. That includes infrastructure, that includes clean environment, that includes access to the healthcare facilities, that includes financial stability to ensure better health. So to address all these concerns, or to address all these factors, we have a concept called universal health coverage. And the Indian Express article from today's newspaper is also talking about the universal health coverage. So what is this universal health coverage? Universal health coverage is a concept which ensures access to necessary health services without any financial hardship. And what is who propounded this, and what is the origin of this concept? Actually, if you trace the history, you can see in different point of time, in different place, different nations put forward this idea of universal health coverage. For example, the Bismarck health bill 1883, that ensured a health coverage to workers, and later extended the coverage to other people in the newly formed Germany. Same like that, during the Second World War, that is in 1942, in UK, they passed they introduced a model called Beveridge model, and this is based on this health system was based on the Beveridge report. And as per this report, they established a national health service to ensure health coverage to every citizen in United Kingdom. And in the post-war world, that is in the year 1978, the UNESCO and the WHO, they organized a conference with a special focus on empowering primary health sector in Kazakhstan. And as a result of that conference, they signed a declaration called Alma-Ata Declaration. And this Alma-Ata Declaration, this place was in Kazakhstan, and then it was a part of USSR. This Alma-Ata Declaration of 1978 is focusing on empowering the primary health sector, and the main objective of this declaration was to ensure health to everyone by 2000. And in India, the important person who talked about the universal health coverage is Amartya Sen, economist Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen advocated for an equitable health system. So this is how the concept of universal health coverage emerged. And even today we can see that the different nations is taking different steps to ensure better health coverage to their citizens. For example, in the case of India, we have a scheme called Ayushman Bharat. It is focusing on empowering the health sector and at the same time ensuring the insurance coverage to every citizen. And what are the key components of this universal health coverage? First one is ensuring essential services. Second one is providing financial protection. Third one is equity in access, and the fourth one is quality of service. Essential service includes promoting preventive, promotive, curative, rehabilitative, and palliative care to the citizen. Preventive means preventing the diseases. Promoting means preventing the diseases through environmental and healthy habits. For example, the promotion of yoga. curative diseases using medicine or vaccines, and rehabilitation for for physically disabled people, and at the same time psychological rehabilitation and palliative care for the old age people. So this universal health coverage is focusing on 5 important aspects of essential health services. And the next is financial protection. We know that according to the data, 60% of the finance health expenditure is from the individual responsibility. So we have to reduce that, then only we can encourage the people to approach in the institutional health care, because the more, especially the people from the rural and remote area, they will not be having that much income. Therefore, even if they have any serious health care, they won't give that much attention, or they will be they will manage that using the local remedies. So this has to be avoided. So for that, we have to reduce the healthcare cost, or or the government has to take steps like better coverage of the insurance policy to reduce the individual healthcare expenditure. And this is very important to prevent the poverty due to the healthcare cost. And we know that according to the WHO, 37% of the death in India is caused due to non-communicable diseases. And you have to note that non-communicable disease not only means diabetes or hypertension, it includes cancer and other issues like pulmonary or cardiovascular problems. And if a person has these kind of conditions, it can be managed, and he can ensure a better and a sustainable life if we have a proper attention or care. But the problem is, if you want to treat a cardiovascular condition, or if you want to treat cancer, the individual expenditure will be heavy. So that is not affordable for the marginalized communities. Therefore, it also has a potential to exacerbate poverty. So these kind of problems can be addressed if we can provide financial protection to the individuals. And the next is equity in the health. That means ensuring accessibility to the healthcare services for everyone in the society, including the marginalized groups, and then improving the quality of the care. That includes providing effective and safe services to everyone in the society. So what are the objectives of the universal health coverage? First one is health as a right. It is a fundamental right for all citizens. Even in India, we have a right to health under the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. And the next is equitable access. That means reducing regional disparities, group disparities, and gender disparities. Regional disparities, for example, if we often see news that especially in the backward regions, the father carried a daughter to nearly 5 kilometers to find a hospital. Mother carried a son for nearly 2 kilometers to find a hospital. And these kind of things are happening because of lack of infrastructure development, or the differential development of infrastructure in different regions of the country. For example, in certain regions they will be having better infrastructure, remote areas they will be lacking this basic infrastructure. So reducing these kind of disparities is very important to ensure a harmonious healthcare. And the next is focusing on groups. What is mean by focusing on groups? Groups means we have we are living in a society where we have a different type of population. For example, we have to focus on elimination of sickle cell anemia in the tribal population, and we have a particular program for that. And so these kind of differences has to be addressed. And in certain areas, certain endemic diseases will be there. For example, if you take the tropical diseases like Kala Hasar, malaria, like that, so it will be present in the tropical region, and it is one of the reasons behind the poverty and the lack of development of such a region. So if we can address these kind of issues, then we can ensure harmonious healthcare as well as development of that regions. And coming to the gender, so few years back, that is I think in 2 years back, I read an article in the newspaper Hindu, which is talking about importance of gender specific medicine research. If you take the physiology of men and women, it will be different, and there are certain conditions that women are facing more. For example, the cancer that is caused due to the human papilloma virus, cervical cancer. So this kind of attention has to be given based on gender. Then only we can ensure equitable access to the healthcare. And then financial risk protection. So like I mentioned in the previous slide, 60% of the health infrastructure are even today it is the responsibility of the individuals. And if the conditions are rare, or if the condition requires a long-term treatment, then it can put a great pressure on their financial stability, and sometimes can even push them to poverty, below poverty, and then strengthening health system, that is going for better infrastructure and increasing the workforce capacity. And India, we have a doctor patient ratio of 1:800, and it is much higher than the WHO standard. According to WHO, 1,000 people should have one doctor, but in India we have one doctor for every 800 patients. But we are lacking certain areas like infrastructure, digitalization, better technology for diagnosing diseases, and integration of services, that is ensuring the a proper coordinated and organized infrastructure, health infrastructure, from the primary level to the tertiary level. So coming to the next topic, the challenges associated with implementing universal health coverage in India. The first is inadequate public health infrastructure, that is shortages of primary health facilities in the remote area, or the underdeveloped primary health facilities in the remote area, and lack of workforce. Not only the doctors, we need other commoders, and we need nurse. So we need educated and updated health workers to deal with the health issues in different area, and especially this kind of problems are high in rural area of India. And the next is high out of pocket expenditure. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, 60% of the health expense are coming from the individuals. So this can exacerbate financial strain. At the same time, it can also lead to lack of management of various health problems. And then fragmented health system. That means introducing various health schemes without proper coordination or without a common objective. And then we have a chronic disease burden. For example, the rising cases of non-communicable diseases. Like I mentioned, WHO, according to WHO, 37% of the death in India are caused due to this non-communicable disease, which includes diabetes, hypertension, cancer, cardiopulmonary conditions. And the next challenge is limited insurance penetration. Even though we have a big scheme like Ayushman Bharat, still the coverage of the insurance is very less. And recently we have introduced, that is the Life Insurance Corporation of India, LIC, they also introduced an insurance scheme known as Bima Sakhi Yojana. And so all this scheme, we can see that we have number of schemes, but it is unintegrated and it is not working with a proper coordination. So these kind of issues has to be resolved to address a solution to a particular problem, including the health. And in the case of Ayushman Bharat, it is a big scheme, but we have certain problems associated with the implementation and ensuring the the sustainability of such programs. And then rural urban divide, that is disparities in services available in rural and urban area. That means both the availability of the services and the quality of the services. For example, if you go to the primary health sector, for example, if you go to the primary health center in a very remote area, you will not be having proper certain medicines. So to access those medicines here, then you have to travel for 30 kilometers to reach the nearby town. So these kind of issues are there between urban and rural area. So that has to be addressed. And the next we have governance and accountability, that is lack of transparency and accountability. For example, sometimes the doctors will be deployed in a particular area, but they will not be attending the cases regularly. So these kind of issues are persisting in India even today. And lack of governance means lack of monitoring, digital infrastructure to monitor that the healthcare facility is working properly. So we have to address all these kind of things. And what are the recommendations that we can give to improve or strengthen the scope of universal health coverage in India? First one is strengthening the primary health care. That means increasing investments in the primary health centers and sub-centers and focusing on preventive and promotive health. So we know that recently the government of India, the center urged the state governments to declare snake bite as a notifiable disease, because snake bite is killing nearly 58 people in India annually. But if you go to the primary health centers in India, you will not be having anti-venom in most of the primary health centers. So these kind of issues are common people facing in the primary health centers. So we need to work based on the special feature of that particular region. For example, if a region has high population of venomous snake, then you have to ensure that proper anti-venom is deployed in that region. So this can be achieved only through increased investment and increased attention. And then is focusing on preventive and promotive diseases, for example identifying a particular disease before it becoming more contagious. And promotive health, for example encouraging the people through yoga, encouraging the public health through healthy lifestyle and other methods like yoga and regular workout. So for this we need a proper coordination or proper relation between the primary health officials and the village people. And then enhancing the public health financing, that is increasing the public health expenditure to 2.5% of the GDP. And this is very essential to ensure the out of pocket expenditure of the people, because I mentioned this out of pocket 60% of the expenditure is from the individuals. So this can exacerbate both poverty and will hesitate the people to approach for better health care. And next is expanding the health insurance, that can be done through strengthening programs like Ayushman Bharat, and also I mentioned the recent program of LIC, that is Bima Sakhi Yojana, and including informal workers and vulnerable communities. So focusing on them, giving more attention to them, and we have to ensure that they are enrolled in insurance schemes. So these kind of steps can be taken to expand the health insurance. And the next is building health worker capacity, that is providing regular training, recruiting more staff to the primary health facilities in the rural area. And you have to ensure that they are attending the hospital and the cases regularly, and for that we need a digital infrastructure. The next recommendation is addressing social determinants, for example focusing more on nutrition, sanitation and proper awareness. For example, we have n number of schemes to address the nutrition program. For example, we have schemes from the ICDS under the Women and Child Development Ministry, and then we have Pradhan Mantri Poshan Yojana. So this kind of n number of schemes we have, but we have to ensure that these schemes are reaching the right population in right place on right time. And then focusing on sanitation, we have Swachh Bharat Gramin and we have Swachh Bharat Urban to ensure the the sanitation in both the urban and rural area. So we have to strengthen such programs. And then educating the people, for example promoting healthy lifestyle, which is one of the effective method to reduce the non-communicable disease burden. And then leveraging technology, that is implementing e-health and telemedicine. So this is very important to ensure the accessibility to the healthcare facility in the remote area and difficult terrain. And we have a facility called e-Manas. This provides psychological support to the people through telephone, and using digital platform for monitoring and delivering the healthcare facilities. So in this topic we discussed the concept universal health coverage, what are its objective, and how it is facing certain challenges, and what are the recommendations that we can give while writing a mains answer to encourage the scope of the universal health coverage. So based on our understanding, try to answer this mains practice question. Universal health coverage is essential for achieving inclusive healthcare in India. Discuss the scope and objectives of the universal health coverage while highlighting the challenges in its implementation. Suggest measures to strengthen universal health coverage in Indian context. So this question has two important parts. First one is discussing the scope and the objectives of the universal health coverage, and the second part you have to give suggestions. Just now we discussed the recommendations, right? You have to write those recommendations in the second part. In the first part you have to address the objectives of the universal health coverage means encouraging health as a right, providing proper financial protection and insurance penetration, so the or in insurance expansion, and encouraging the primary health sector. So these are the important objectives of the universal health coverage. What are the challenges? Challenges means hesitancy of the people, and there are lack of awareness in the people, and at the same time limited infrastructure development, regional disparities, group disparities, gender based disparities in accessing the health facilities. And you can mention the recent example that during the time of COVID, the enrollment for the vaccine was through mobile phone, right? So in the particularly in nations in Southeast Asia and in South Asia, the women enrollment for vaccination was less comparing with the men. So this kind of examples you can give while writing this mains answer. And what are the measures to strengthen, going for better infrastructure, that means more finance to strengthen the primary health facility, and then ensuring that balanced infrastructure development in different regions, and gender specific and age specific research in medicine, and going for strict implementation of health norms. So you can give all these suggestions in the second part. So this is a 15 marks question, and you have to write around 250 words. That means you have to write 3 pages. Try to answer this mains practice question, post it in the comment section. We will review and reply for your answer. And remember, the note for this video will be given in the description. You can also refer that. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's editorial analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comment, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy, and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update. Thank you. Have a nice day.